The problem in our country, most often it is told, is that when something is not our individual problem, we tend to look away and say it's someone else's problem. Tonight, that question I'm putting to all the viewers on the Newshour tonight, and I seriously think that the politicians on our panel should hear from you, should hear from citizens, should hear from activists tonight. Because the question I'm putting on this panel is very simple. Which side are you on? Are you with Durga Shakti or are you with the politicians? Durga Shakti is a lady who needs support. She cannot speak out. She's already been suspended. You can imagine her situation and her plight. The whole system is out there to victimize her. Ministers are mocking her. The central government is washing its hands off. Akhilesh Yadav pretends nothing is happening. So there is nobody to support this 28-year-old IAS officer. She worked hard. She was 20th in her batch, All India, in 2010, which means she's a brilliant young woman. Do we want the system to kill her spirit? That's the opening question I'm putting on the Newshour tonight. My first question is to Ashok Khemka, who took on Robert Vadra a few months back and has been through it. I don't know how many times you've been transferred. Ashok, what do you think the system is trying to do with Durga Shakti?
Thank you, Arnab. Let me at the outset say that the views expressed in this channel today night are my personal views and not that of the government. Having said so, there is a brilliant lead article today in the Indian Express by one Mr. Guljar Natarajan on the capable state. We are moving to a situation where we are emasculating the capability of the state and making it from a state of maximum governance, minimum government model to a state of maximum government, minimum governance model.
Totally.
The issue of suspending this very young officer and a lady officer for doing her duty, the law laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court of India that no religious structures of whatever denomination is to be allowed illegally on public land. She had taken action and boldly against a religious structure being constructed, and that too a boundary wall, a kacha boundary wall, by prohibiting a larger problem in the future. This action was taken in the name of communal amity to actually please the mining mafia of Noida. And I'll tell you, Arnab, with my experience, very few IAS officers, 1 in thousands, would be able to take action this lady has taken by registering 20 FIRs against the mining mafia.
Absolutely.
And effectively acting.
Oh yes.
Effectively acting against this mafia. It is not being honest, Arnab. It is being effectively honest.
Absolutely.
Just honest is not going to bring improvement in the system. You have to be effectively honest. And this is what this young lady officer was doing. And I think the nation must stand behind her, and not only stand behind her, it's not only a reinstatement in service, but there are the questions of
an apology. An apology is in order, Ashok. Apology is in order, and I want to introduce, I forgot to introduce all our panelists today. An apology is in order. Abha Singh is a lawyer, social activist here in Mumbai. Anupam Gupta, who's sitting there with Ashok Khemka, is both his friend and his senior advocate. Arun Bhatia knows how the system works against honest officers. He's been a crusader himself, former IAS officer from Pune. Sanjay Bhoos Reddy, Mr. Reddy is president of the IAS Officer Association from Delhi. Sudhindra Bhadoria of the BSP. Mayawati got her shoes cleaned at one point of time by a police officer. Vani Tripathi of the BJP. The BJP has also been effective in the past in crushing independent bureaucrats. KTS Tulsi took on Ashok Khemka and criticized him at a time when he was taking on Robert Vadra. KTS Tulsi, senior advocate, welcome. My first question. Second question to Ashok, to Bukkal Nawab, who's a leader of the Samajwadi Party and an MLC. Mr. Nawab, आपको तो दुर्गा शक्ति जी को अवार्ड देना चाहिए था. You should have given her an award. Instead, you have suspended her. The whole country is now backing Durga Shakti and you are alone. आप अकेले पड़ गए, सारा देश उनके साथ है. तो will you now apologize to her? Will you apologize to her?
देखिए, आपको जो कहना है वो कहिए. सच्चाई जो है, सच्चाई आप उसकी बिल्कुल विपरीत है. अगर हम कहते हैं कि बाउंड्री वॉल के ऊपर उनको जो है उनका सस्पेंशन किया गया, आपका दुर्गा शक्ति नागपाल जी का, हम नहीं कहते कि उसके ऊपर जो है वो उनका सस्पेंशन किया गया, दीवार पर किया गया। हम आपकी बात करते हैं। आप खुद ये इस बात को कह रहे हो, आप खुद इस बात को कह रहे हैं कि वहां भू माफिया जो थे, भू माफिया वहां के ऊपर जो है वो खनन कर रहे थे, भू माफियाओं को वो पकड़ रही थी, वो भू माफियाओं को के दम पर उन्हीं ने पकड़े, और जिस तरीके से उन्हीं ने वो कार्य कर रही थी। पहला तो सवाल जवाब आप ये दीजिए कि उनको लेके कौन गया था? हमने ही उनको अपॉइंट किया था, हमने अपॉइंट किया।
Please, don't, 1 second. What kind of a thing? When you appointed her, did you tell her when you appointed her that, listen, Durga Shakti, you will have to not take any action against the sand mafia. And if you take action against the sand mafia, we will take action against you. Do you have the courage, Mr. Nawab, to say that you have punished an honest officer for taking on the sand mafia? You want IAS officers who allow your corruption? You want IAS officers who allow the mafia to operate? आप सबसे पहले मीडिया पे चढ़ जाते हैं। आपका एक ही है कि आप मीडिया को क्रिटिसाइज करेंगे, आप ऑनेस्ट आईएएस ऑफिसर्स को क्रिटिसाइज करेंगे, आप सारे दुनिया भर को बुली करेंगे।
मीडिया से नहीं जाते, नहीं मीडिया
हम मत जाइए प्लीज, बिकॉज आप कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट हो जाएंगे।
प्लीज नहीं, एक मिनट एक बात का आप एक बात का सिर्फ आप ये जवाब दे दीजिए कि हमारे ऊपर हमने मान लिया, हम आप लोगों की बात से मान लिया कि हम खनन करा रहे थे, हम चोरी करा रहे थे, हम डकैती करा रहे थे, हम डंपर भरवा रहे थे, हमने अवैध खनन का कार्य हम कर रहे थे। आपके कहने के मुताबिक हमने मान लिया, और मानने के बाद और इस बात का आपको जवाब देना पड़ेगा। अगर दुर्गा शक्ति नागपाल जी को अगर सस्पेंड किया गया है तो क्या हम उनका ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकते थे? अगर हमको खनन माफिया से
आप डराना चाहते हैं। पहली बात तो यह है मिस्टर नवाब, एक मिनट, लेट मी टेल यू वन थिंग मिस्टर नवाब। नो वन थिंग, यू आस्क्ड मी अ क्वेश्चन, लेट मी टेल यू वन थिंग। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, ऑन द न्यूज़ आवर आई आस्क्ड द क्वेश्चन। मैं प्रश्न करता हूं, आपने प्रश्न मुझे क्या उल्टा, आप जवाब दूसरों का सुनिए। आप मुझे सवाल कर रहे हैं, आप चाहते हैं कि मैं जवाब दूं। आपको सीधी तरह से मैं कह रहा हूं, 15 पीपल वर अरेस्टेड, 22 पीपल वेंट मिसिंग आफ्टर द रेड्स। डर के मारे भाग गए थे दुर्गा नागपाल जी से। 2090 से ज्यादा ट्रक्स को उन्होंने रोका था। 82 लाख 82 lakhs fines she took, and she had said that the contractors, it is known, जहां पे जितने contractors चल रहे थे जो माफिया के काम कर रहे वो सब उनके political links थे, and she was going after them. You have tried to scare her, Mr. Nawab. आपने सोचा नहीं था कि सारी देश, the whole country will come and stand up with her. Let me get another point of view in 1 second. Arun Bhatia, you're listening to this conversation.
ये पूरे देश की जनता इस बात को देख रही है कि हम उनका ट्रांसफर नहीं कर सकते थे। आप दीवार बनाने के उनको
आप पहले तो आप देखिए आप अलग देखिए,
उनका ट्रांसफर भी कर सकते थे।
देखिए 1 सेकेंड, नो ये कर सकते थे। ये कोई आपका ऐसा कोई ये ब्रिटिश राज नहीं चल रहा है। आप इलेक्ट हुए हैं, आपके भी रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं और आपके भी ड्यूटीज हैं। यू आर नॉट, नो एक समझ लीजिए प्लीज, आप योर पार्टी हैज बीन इलेक्टेड, यू डोंट ओन उत्तर प्रदेश। आप उत्तर प्रदेश आपकी प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है जो आप कुछ भी करा सकते हैं। आपकी प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है,
हमारे पर इल्जाम लगा रहा है।
नहीं, आपका प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है। दुर्गा शक्ति मैं इल्जाम नहीं लगा रहा, मैं ये कह रहा हूं, और ये मैं आभा सिंह जी से पूछने वाला हूं कि वो लॉयर है, आप उनसे पूछ लीजिए कि दुर्गा शक्ति वॉज फॉलोइंग द सुप्रीम कोर्ट डायरेक्टिव्स ऑन रिलीजियस स्ट्रक्चर्स. The demolition, if there was a wall which was demolished, it was done on the following the Supreme Court order which restricts the construction of any religious structure without the permission of the local administration.
Yes, absolutely. Abha. She was carrying out the orders of the Supreme Court. If you are saying you are suspending her, what about the district magistrate? What about the superintendent of police? Communal tension is a law and order problem for which the DM and SP are to be held responsible, not this SDM. It is very clear that because she was arresting the contractors who are funding your party, who are giving money to you politicians, that is why the message had to go to all the honest people in your state that dare you touch our people, we will not transfer, we will suspend you. You are trying to destroy the system of the country. It is not one person, it is a message, and it is shocking that you are saying we took her. It is she who has got through the IAS. It had to be an IAS officer. Had it not been this, and another thing which is shocking is that the DOPT minister says that we are waiting for a report to come from UP, when the whole central government can see what is the cabinet secretary doing, what is the prime minister doing. Why can't, when you can have Colgate, for that no rules are followed. For 2 2G, no rules. But in suspension, rules are being followed.
And this is so unfair. You see what is happening here. What is happening here, Arun Bhatia, you've seen your own time. But you know, Durga Shakti we are talking about, she's 28-year-old. We've got Ashok Khemka, who's probably 20 years her senior. These two people represent a rare breed of fearless, honest, brave and incorruptible IAS officers. And you know what Ashok Khemka got for it, Arun Bhatia? He got transferred 43 times in 21 years. And we are worried today that the same system wants to crush the spirit and co-opt Durga Shakti. They want to co-opt her and crush her. And that's why there is concern. What do you think of what's going on, Arun Bhatia?
Yes, sir, that's why an apology, you're demanding an apology. That's not enough. They have to apologize, and we have to make sure that this doesn't happen, and that senior officers like the Chief Secretary and the Secretary of the Department of Personnel act without being arbitrary and crooked. So the real culprits are those who have signed the suspension order. They have to be held accountable. Suspend them. Charge sheet them.
Whom?
So this doesn't happen in future, and innocent officers are not sacrificed. That's the first thing, sir. Second thing is, this politician who's on your panel just now, I was on another program with him, and this guy keeps giving this argument, two arguments. First he says, danga hone ki sambhavta thi. This is sheer nonsense. Riots will not take place if the gundas of these political parties are not allowed to come onto the streets.
Well said.
I was there in Delhi in 1984. They let the situation simmer, let it explode, tell the administration to wait, and then they step in after 2 days and control it within 4 hours. The lesson to be learnt is there is no problem of rioting. The state is very powerful, sir. The Qazi military forces, the police forces, the army, they can stop a riot within a matter of minutes. And when there is fear of an effective curfew, these elements will not come onto the street. So this politician keeps saying, danga hone ki shakti sambhavta.
झूठ बोल रहे हैं आप.
Bullshit.
झूठ बोल रहे हैं आप बुकल नवाब जी. कोई दंगा होने की संभावना नहीं थी. वहां के पुलिस ऑफिसर्स जो थे वो खुद बोल रहे हैं कि कोई टेंशन नहीं था. आप उन्होंने ये भी कहा है कि आप वेरीफाई कर लीजिए मीडिया पर्सन से जो प्रेजेंट थे जीबी नगर में, किसी को पता भी नहीं था कि इस डेमोलिशन के बारे में. आप लोग इस चीज को इशू बनाना चाहते हैं.
नहीं, हम आपकी बात मानने को तैयार हैं.
बहाना मत बनाइए.
एक मिनट. आप कह रहे हैं कि दंगा होने की कोई संभावना नहीं थी, और आप जिस तरीके से कह रहे हैं इसी तरीके से जैसे केदारनाथ में बादल फटने की कोई भी संभावना नहीं थी, दंगा होने की संभावना नहीं थी. इसका सर्टिफिकेट कौन देगा? ये आप जो बैठे हुए हैं या मीडिया के ऊपर.
No, 1 minute, Bukkal Nawab ji. The question is very clear. No, question is very clear. Arun Bhatia is responding to you. The question is very clear. You have a situation where you are saying this woman was creating communal disturbance. Local police in Uttar Pradesh have refuted the claim, saying they had not received any field report regarding communal tension in GB Nagar. In fact, the demolition of the wall in question was so quiet an affair that the local police did not even mention it in their general diary in the police station till Sunday. आपको बहाना चाहिए एक ऑनेस्ट ऑफिसर को विक्टिमाइज करने के लिए. Arun Bhatia is responding to you. Yes, Arun Bhatia, go ahead.
सर, अगर दंगा होने की संभावना भी थी, even if it was possible that there would be a riot as a result of breaking this wall, you still break the wall, enforce the law and control the riot. If you have good governance, effective governance, you've got your strength on the streets, there will be no riot. These politicians pamper these elements. Why should there be a mosque over there? Why not a school, a dispensary, a health center? Why not these things? In principle, religious buildings should not be allowed on public land.
Precisely.
This is simple land grabbing. They are grabbing government land.
I now want to get in KTS Tulsi, Vani Tripathi coming to you, Mr. Sanjay Bhoos Reddy coming to you. Sorry for not having come to you so far. KTS Tulsi, when Ashok Khemka took on Robert Vadra, and Ashok Khemka is also on the program today, I remember that you said that this decision of his was aimed at meeting his political aspiration. You had said that. You accused Ashok Khemka of being politically ambitious. Right? And Ashok Khemka took you on. And he said, I have no political aspiration. Isn't the problem with that kind of argument, Mr. Tulsi, that when an honest officer in our country tries to do his job, there are other people, influential people, including top lawyers of the country like who question their urge to do their duty, Mr. Tulsi?
No, I'm not here to talk about Ashok Khemka today. Today I have been called to comment on the suspension, which is not only unethical, unfair, but is completely illegal. The suspension has been made, the order of suspension is clearly in total violation of Rule 3 of the All India Services Discipline and Appeal Rules 1969. Rule 3 requires that before a member of the All India Services is placed under suspension, the articles of charge have to be drawn up. And the articles of charge, if the media reports are correct, have not been drawn up before the order of suspension was served. In fact, what is being alleged in the media is that there was no article of charge at all. This is an alibi being created, and a false alibi with regard to the demolition of the wall. The real issue was the sand mafia and her tough action against the sand mafia. The rule provides for creation of existence of recording the articles of charge so that you cannot have a false pretext.
So why are the politicians of this country quiet? If everybody knows, and that's my question to Sanjay Bhoos Reddy to 3 minutes. Why are the politicians quiet? You know, Sudhindra Bhadoria will criticize the Samajwadi Party for his own, petty political reasons. But before I come to Sudhindra Bhadoria, I'm asking, why is the Congress quiet? Why is the BJP quiet? Why is the Samajwadi Party quiet? Why is the central government quiet? Why is the Union Law Minister quiet? There's a Supreme Court orders which are being violated. In this case, not a call is made to this officer before she's suspended. There is no report which is sought from the district magistrate, no report sought from the commissioner in this regard. In other words, there's unilateral, straightforward, illegal action which has been carried out. And the entire country's political class is a mute spectator to the victimization of this 28-year-old young lady. It seems everybody has become spineless tonight. Why, Sanjay Bhoos Reddy? That question is to you, sir. Why?
The point is that, first of all, I would like to make a small clarification. I am not the president, I am the secretary of the Central IS Association. I totally agree with Advocate Tulsi ji and Mr. Khemka and my colleague Mr. Bhatia. They have very rightly pointed out the factual and legal position. Our point has been since last many years that the central government should take it up seriously, because though there is a very clear law laid down which flows from the All India Services Act of 1951, which again flows from Article 309 of the Constitution. It very clearly, there are Rule 3, 4, 5, 6, which very specifically lays down the procedure. The charges have to be drawn. The articles of charges have to be drawn. But in the last 25 years, we have found, especially in some of the states, including Uttar Pradesh, officers have been suspended at the drop of the hat. And if my memory is correct, now we have crossed the 101 mark. More than 101 officers have been suspended in UP itself. And all these officers have been suspended in an arbitrary manner without following the due process of law.
Since when have 101 officers been suspended?
For a second, for argument's sake, I'm not going into the facts. Even if the facts are true for argument's sake, they should have followed the due process of law. This is not the way that midnight you just suspend the officer. A preliminary inquiry should have been conducted. Now, if you see the law says that there are two sets of punishments, a minor punishment and major punishments. Now, if you are going for a major punishment where you dismiss, you terminate, you reduce in rank, or there is a reduction in pay, then only you go for major charge sheet.
No, I think, you know who I think should be suspended? You know who should be suspended, sir?
Suspend the officer.
No, you see, as you're speaking, Mr. Reddy, there are pictures of an Etawah magistrate who, and let's go back to those pictures, who touched the feet of Shivpal Yadav, right? And Akhilesh Yadav, this point is, Akhilesh, if you have courage, if you genuinely have ethics, and Akhilesh Yadav, if you have the courage in your heart, if you become a politician for the right reasons and not just to perpetuate your political dynasty, I challenge you, Akhilesh Yadav. I challenge you tonight on national television. Sack that policeman who touched your uncle's feet. Sack him. Because that's the man who needs to be suspended. That magistrate who touched your uncle's feet needs to be suspended. And I hope someone has the courage to do that, because I don't think they will. And that's the problem. Mr. Reddy, coming back to you. Sudhindra Bhadoria, ये culture तो BSP ने शुरू की थी.
Because this law, this pattern of suspension. Now, if the government is contemplating a major charge sheet and a major punishment, then only they can suspend. And
I think there is nothing worse. No, the worst charges. The worst charges. You have a magistrate. The magistrate is
able to destroy the evidence, or is able to influence the inquiry, or is able to.
So why are we getting into?
Then only.
Suspended. It will be the Home Secretary who would have issued the suspension orders. It would be the Appointment Secretary. What about their role? It is these IS officers. The politician would not have signed on the paper that you suspend. He would have told verbally, and it will be these senior IS officers who are touching feet would have signed the orders. And what is today required is that under 217 of the IPC,
let's go to Vani Tripathi. Vani Tripathi raises her hand. I don't think if the BJP has really made an exception, but first let me take your views on what's going on, Vani.
Arnab, first I want to take this opportunity to salute the courage of this young officer, and also the fact that her suspension and not her transfer has been done categorically to instill fear in young officers in UP. And time and again on your debate we have spoken about the condition of UP, the misgovernance and law and order. But I want to ask a question from Mr. Nawab right now. Constantly for the past so many minutes he is talking about danga bhadakne ki का डर था. नवाब साहब, आप ये बताइए कि आपके मंत्री आजम खान ने आज रामपुर में ये स्टेटमेंट दिया है. अरे मेरी बात सुनिए कि भगवान राम की लूट है, लूट सके तो लूट. रामपुर में खड़े होकर इस तरह का स्टेटमेंट देना, is this inciting violence, or is that inciting violence what the young officer did? And if he was following orders from the Supreme Court, who actually is inciting violence in UP? UP has had more than 40 riots in the past 1 year. Who is inciting violence standing in Rampur today? One of the senior-most leaders of the Samajwadi Party. And you have the audacity to put the blame on a young officer who's trying to do her upright work, who's being righteous, who's actually challenging the system by, putting the sand mafia on the dock. Let us hear from Mr. Nawab what he has to say about Mr. Azam Khan, and then you take the debate forward. कौन दंगा भड़काने की कोशिश कर रहा है?
जरूर. अब रिप्लाई करने दीजिए. आप सुधींद्र भदौरिया hasn't even spoken yet. Go ahead.
Yes, the question is to me.
No, I first want very quickly Mr. Nawab to reply, and Mr. Nawab actually has no reply, because Nawab ji, 2013 के March में, in March 2013, your government said that district magistrates and district police chiefs or SPs will be held responsible for any communal riots against their respective jurisdiction, and action will be taken against such officers. So Durga Nagpal was only doing her job. You tell me today, what do you want people to do? To help the mafia make money, or to do their job? जवाब है आपके पास, नवाब जी?
He has no answer. He has no answer.
जवाब नहीं है.
He will never have, because it needs a probe. It needs a probe.
अरे एक मिनट, हमारी बात आप सुन ले कि भगवान श्री रामचंद्र जी का नाम लेकर जो लूट बची है, भगवान श्री रामचंद्र जी जहां पर हम स्टेडियो में बैठे हैं, यहाँ पर भी हैं, और आपके जहां पर नोएडा में दिल्ली में भी है, और भगवान श्री रामचंद्र जी का नाम लेकर
पता चल रहा है.
ये तो आप
भगवान श्री रामचंद्र जी का नाम आप पूरे भारत
अलाउ नहीं करूंगा.
बोल रहे नेशनल डिबेट पर
मैं अलाउ नहीं करूंगा इस डिबेट को. नो वानी त्रिपाठी, one second. वानी त्रिपाठी और नवाब जी, ये जो स्टैंडर्ड बीजेपी समाजवादी पार्टी की डिबेट है.
Is this debate on Bhagwan?
Yeah. You see, the problem is the politicians don't want to talk about corruption.
And they don't want to defend honest officers.
One second. Nawab ji, you see, एक मिनट. एक मिनट, वानी त्रिपाठी
खान साहब ने आज क्या पूछा है?
वानी त्रिपाठी और नवाब मिस्टर बुक्कल नवाब, एक मिनट।
देखकर जो है जनता को गुमराह कर रहे हैं आप लोग।
बुक्कल नवाब जी, एक मिनट।
भगवान है,
एक मिनट।
यदा ही धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति
One minute.
भारत।
Mr. Nawab, Mr. Nawab, 1 second. Mr. Nawab, 1 minute.
गीता का संदेश।
Mr. Nawab, 1 minute, please. And Vani Tripathi, please, 1 minute. I request both of you to go back to the debate. What are we debating today? We are talking about corruption. One minute.
I am saying that I salute the courage of this officer. And I'm also saying that why is the Samajwadi Party not answering
Vani
uncomfortable
Tripathi, I
questions?
request you to pull back from this. And I'm telling the politicians on the Newshour tonight, either you don't want to talk about the issue of corruption, or you want to give a communal angle to everything. I'm not discussing communalism or secularism or these issues here. And I think people watching the Newshour know that the burning issue in this country is the issue of corruption. It may not matter to politicians, but for the Aam Aadmi, the burning issue is corruption. My next question is to the BSP. To Anupam Gupta, I'm sorry to come to you last. To Sudhindra Bhadoria, my question is 2011 May, in the year 2000, a DIG in the Uttar Pradesh Fire Service Department, DD Mishra, was sent to a psychiatric hospital by the government for speaking out against corruption during Mayawati's rule. Right? In February 2011, Mr. Bhadoria, President's Gallantry Medal winner, posted on Mayawati's security detail, was captured on camera. I think I have the shots. Stooping to wipe the dust off her sandals. I will never forget that. You remember that? Yes, there it is. The beautiful, those amazing pictures. So, Mr. Bhadoria, you want the bureaucracy also to be like this. So, before you take a position on Durga Shakti, the charge is against people like you. You want a pliant bureaucracy. You want a spineless bureaucracy and spineless police service. Would you agree?
I would like to make a point here.
No, 1 second. Let Mr. Bhadoria reply, then come to you.
I think if everybody else has finished point, can I make my own
go ahead,
point
sir.
now?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, you see, you have raised a gamut of issues in this debate. There is a bogey of communalism being raised on one hand, and the issue of corruption being just pushed to a direction where only one class of people are responsible. I do agree there is corruption in politics. I do agree that there are a lot of politicians who are corrupt. That does not mean that everybody in politics is corrupt. There are many people who have, like in the army, like in the bureaucracy, like even there is a Neera Radia case. There are so many cases in different walks of national life where corruption is a major issue in this country. And let me come back to this issue of Durga Shakti Nagpal. In the case of Durga Shakti Nagpal, because she was taking on a mafia don, the sand mafia, Mr. Narendra Bhati, who is a big name, who is a known name in Noida, she has been punished. There has been cases where Neera Yadav, where Akhand Pratap Singh have been indicted by the court, the highest court in this country, and then they have been the chief secretaries with Mulayam Singh Yadav. Even now in Noida authority, there are a lot of corrupt officers and the court has indicted them, yet they are there in Noida. So what I am trying to say is that
there was a bureaucrat, 1 minute, there was a bureaucrat who, 1 minute, just one question, Mr. Bhadoria, listen to me. One question,
yes, please,
one question, take my question. There was a bureaucrat who pointed out flaws in the master plan of the Yamuna Expressway Authority. She said it violated the regional plan 2001 to 2021 guidelines. Is it true that your government suspended her? And if they did, if your government suspended her, then who are you to preach tonight? You suspended her as well.
Anybody? What I am trying to say is no. Well, there have been cases.
And she said, she said in her letter to the centre, she said the suspension is Mayawati's way of taking revenge against anyone who dares to oppose her policies.
But that doesn't mean today. So you
so you are also doing the same thing.
What about the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, where an officer has been killed? What about Karnataka, where Yadurappa has...
Let Vani Tripathi answer that. Let Vani Tripathi answer that.
What is Mr. Bhadoria trying to get at? What happened to Vijay Shankar Pandey? Do you remember what MG did to Vijay Shankar Pandey kind of officers? Don't start pointing fingers here. Don't start pointing fingers here. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that when somebody is persecuted by the system, you want to go back. You want to go back and you don't want to look at the anomalies which you did during your government. What happened to Vijay Shankar Pandey, Mr. Bhadoria? Why don't you answer that? What did Behenji do with Vijay Shankar Pandey? It is very unfortunate. No, I'm sorry, I will not accept it. It is very unfortunate on your part.
Vani Tripathi, take my question. In 2006, Shivpuri collected M. Gita.
Wait a minute.
One second. If any of you can answer me factually, answer me. Can you answer me factually? Answer me factually. I'm not accusing. I'm putting the facts to you. Vani Tripathi, you'll have to listen to me. In 2006, Shivpuri collected M. Gita, sent a missive to the National Highway Authority that the state cannot protect road contractors from the Gadaria gang. She was transferred. You remember, and you know what the Chief Secretary said? She said she had crossed her brief by writing such a letter on her own. So when an honest police officer spoke out in your ruled state of Madhya Pradesh, your government kept her quiet. So Vani Tripathi, all I'm saying is, before you or the BSP start lecturing about what's going on in the Duduka Shakti case, please look at what you do in your own states.
Arnab, on one hand, you say that politicians and political parties do not comment on these kind of things. This is what you said on the debate today. And I'm saying that we salute the courage of this officer, but it is unfortunate that Mr. Nawab on your debate has just now implicated this young officer of inciting violence.
Why you have not asked for a reinstatement? Why your MPs have not gone to the Prime Minister? Why have all the MPs of BJP not gone to the Prime Minister and said that we are seeing on all the channels you are saying we are waiting for a report from UP to come.
Madam, no, listen to me. We have taken a position that we stand with her. We salute her.
So on.
No saluting is required. You help honest people defend their cause. All people who want to be honest will see her plight and say
my question is to Anupam Gupta. Anupam Gupta, as a lawyer and someone who stood by Ashok Khemka when he was taking on Robert Vadra, my question is to you and then to KTS Tulsi. That if she has been removed, Anupam Gupta and KTS Tulsi, if she has been removed for only following Supreme Court directives, then can't the courts suo moto do something perhaps? At the end of the day, she is... No, may I take Anupam Gupta's view first, Mr. Tulsi, and then I'm coming straight to you. Yes, Anupam Gupta.
Okay. In my considered opinion, Mrs. Nagpal has been suspended not for the demolition of the wall of the mosque. That is of alibi. That is a red herring across the track.
Yeah.
The real operative reason is her battle against the sand mafia. The order of suspension is what we lawyers call a wholly and manifestly culpable exercise of power. And on that ground alone, complete lack of bona fides, manifestly culpable exercise of power, I look forward to and I implore the Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court not only to intervene but to intervene effectively and pass strictures against the state government of Uttar Pradesh.
But your person sitting next to you, Ashok Khemka, is one of those officers who has sacrificed a lot personally to fight his own fight for 20 years. But the problem is, Mr. Gupta, that not everybody may have, the mental resolve and people can crumble under pressure. Ashok Khemka has paid for it. His family has paid for it. But here is a 28-year-old officer and all of us are talking about her, but nobody's stepping forward and intervening. Isn't that sad?
The purpose of this order is to break her resolve and send an utterly wrong kind of message to the entire official bureaucracy of Uttar Pradesh. You act independently, you act objectively, you act with courage, integrity and determination like this lady did, and this will what will happen.
No, but
to
our
you,
country's
this
courts,
sledgehammer
our country's
of
courts,
suspension.
our country's courts, Mr. Tulsi, in so many cases, have corrected so many wrongs and stepped in when the executive has failed. What about this case?
Well, I think this is a case where the courts might step in, because this actually amounts to also contempt of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has directed these officers to act in a particular fashion. They are enforcing not only the rule of law, they are also enforcing the orders of the court. And I think that it's the duty of the court to protect these officers.
Well said.
And ensure that their resolve is not broken. Otherwise, this country will not be able to function. We are becoming otherwise a banana republic.
Well said, sir. Taking our first.
The rule of law has to have any meaning.
We are getting the callers in. I'm sorry to all the callers for coming to you late, but it's been an interesting debate. Ashok Khemka wants to say something as I prepare for the first call. Yes, Ashok.
Arnab, we have lost the critical aspect which Mr. Arun Bhatia was trying to say.
Yeah.
That, okay, Durga Shakti Nagpal was punished, but who punished him? Violating the orders of the Supreme Court. It is the principal secretary appointments and the chief secretary who converted themselves from public servants to servants of the private.
To handmaidens.
Exemplary damages must be imposed against them so that the public servants of the future learn lessons that they have not to be servants of the private, but they have to be truly public servants. And let me tell you, Arnab, if IAS officers were truly public servants, we would not have seen the 2G Spectrum scam and the Colgate scam. These scams happen because the bureaucracy also kowtow. They choose to become servants of the private instead of being truly public servants. And these rare breeds like Durga Shakti Nagpal needs to be protected. If the state has to survive, if the state has to become a capable state, if we have to become a rule of the law governed state.
Well, our first caller, Ashok, is Sunil from Hyderabad. Sunil, good evening. What do you think? What should be done in this case? And do you have a question for any of our panelists?
Yeah, good evening, Arnab, and everyone there on the panel. One thing is there that, today we have honesty as a rare species, and we need to protect that. Yeah. Having said that, there's nothing that the politicians can execute in this country without the help of the bureaucracy. Nothing a bureaucracy can do without help of the politicians. Unfortunately, the bureaucracy itself doesn't come out in the support of own.
I think you made a good point, Sunil. Sanjay Bhoos Reddy, do you agree with that? Mr. Reddy, you agree with that?
I agree with that, and I would also say that one point which was being discussed, that why it's happening in all the governments where different parties had ruled. If you see from 1990, this trend is going on, and it is unfortunately increasing. Therefore, we would like the government of India to interfere.
No, but I think no. But why should there be one Ashok Khemka? Why should there be one Ashok Khemka? When will bureaucrats learn to put their foot down? Coming to Arun Bhatia, but I'm making the next caller, and the next caller is Villa from Bangalore. From Bangalore, Villa, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, Villa. Villa Raman from Bangalore. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Hi, Arnab.
Hi.
Yeah. Before I ask a question to Mr. Nawab, it's very surprising that there is no spokesperson from Congress. It's very glaring. Okay, that's the first point. And my question, Mr. Nawab, the entire country is watching you, sir. I just have a small question to you. Is there no value system left in your political party?
Right.
Don't you have something called as consciousness? And today, if you have the courage and conviction, please apologize on the national television, or please quit the governance. You have been given a mandate by the people to give a good governance. As Mr. Arnab rightly said, you don't inherit that Uttar Pradesh. It's not your private property. So please have the courage and conviction to apologize right now.
Villa Raman, stay on the line. Mr. Bukkal Nawab, आपने सुना? You heard what our viewer from Bangalore said?
हाँ, बिल्कुल मैंने सुना.
तो वो कह रहे हैं कि आप apologize कीजिए, सारा देश देख रहा है, आप माफी मांगिए आज टीवी पर. माफी मांगिए टीवी पर आप।
जब हम करें नहीं माफी, देखिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जो रूलिंग है कि कोई भी नया स्ट्रक्चर गिरजा हो, मंदिर हो, मस्जिद हो नहीं बन सकती, ये बिल्कुल फैक्ट है। हम न्याय और न्यायपालिका का सम्मान करने वाली पार्टी है हमारी।
आप हमारे जो व्यूअर हैं उन्होंने आपको काफी सीधा सवाल किया, उन्होंने कहा कोई वैल्यू सिस्टम बाकी है कि नहीं, और उन्होंने कहा आपने जिस तरह से जवाब दिया उसके लिए आप अपोलोजाइज कीजिए।
अपोलोजाइज कैसे करें? हमारे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो ऑर्डर किए हैं कि नया कॉन्ट्रैक्शन नहीं होगा।
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो कहा है वो तो अलग बात है। विला रमन योदे,
ये कॉन्ट्रैक्शन को गिरा दिया जाएगा, कॉन्ट्रैक्शन को गिरा दिया जाएगा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की रूलिंग नहीं है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट की रूलिंग।
देखिए ऐसा है 1 मिनट देखिए बुक्कल नवाब जी, बुक्कल नवाब जी देखिए आजकल जमाना बदल रहा है बुक्कल नवाब जी। एक जमाना था जब राजनेता कुछ भी कर सकता था, कोई नहीं, जमाना बदल रहा है। देश की जनता पूछ रही है, ये आपकी पर्सनल प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है, आपको इलेक्ट किया नहीं कि आपके यू आर ऑल्सो रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ दिस कंट्री। इस तरह से नहीं चलता है, जवाबदारी होती है लोगों के बीच में, जवाब मांगेंगे लोग। हमारे अगले व्यूअर ढेर सारे फोन कॉल्स आ रहे हैं, गेटिंग लॉट ऑफ फोन कॉल्स।
नया नहीं बनाई है, लेकिन गिराने का आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट की रूलिंग लाके दिखाइए।
आपको मैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट की रूलिंग पढ़ा सकता हूं। आई कैन रीड आउट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट रूलिंग टू यू बिकॉज यू आर आस्किंग मी, बिकॉज I'll tell you this if you have the patience to listen. The Supreme Court bench of Justices R.M. Lodha and S.J. Mukhopadhyay banned fresh encroachment of roads, pavements and sideways by constructions of religious structures or installations of statues of public figures. They have asked all state governments to remove unauthorized constructions including places of worship from roads and public places. Okay, and it has said public road is not anyone's property. उन्होंने कहा है public road जो है वो किसी की property नहीं है. Each citizen has the right to use that road and that right cannot be interfered with by constructing a temple, mosque, church or gurdwara.
यहाँ public road नहीं है.
आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट,
यहाँ public road की बात नहीं है.
आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट की
बात नहीं, public road की बात नहीं है.
अच्छा चलिए आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट की रूलिंग पढ़ लीजिए।
नियम को तोड़ा गया है।
आपको
किसी नोटिस के
आप देखिए, आपको पता नहीं है, यू डोंट नो अबाउट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट रूलिंग्स, आपको पता नहीं है उसके बारे में। मैम हमारे अगले व्यूअर हैं, 1 मिनट।
पता नहीं,
नवाब जी 1 मिनट, नवाब जी हमारे अगले व्यूअर हैं,
हमको पता है।
नवाब जी हमारे अगले व्यूअर हैं। किरण बेदी हैज कॉल्ड इन। किरण बेदी इज वाचिंग द शो, she wants to say something. Kiran Bedi, you're watching the show. I'm glad you're calling in as a viewer. I'm sure you would have also joined us as a panelist. Kiran Bedi, what would you like to say and to whom tonight, Ms. Bedi?
Arnab, I want to express my total solidarity to Durga and Khemkas.
Yeah.
We need many more of Khemkas and Durgas. Both of them have shown a mirror to the rest of the bureaucracy that the performance is their duty without fear or favor. So I'm here calling you up to express my total solidarity and pray the country gets more and more of Durgas and Khemkas.
Absolutely it will. Durgas, Khemkas and Kiran Bedis. These are the kind of officers who this country is proud of and remembers. Thank you, Kiran Bedi. Thank you for calling in. Thank you very much indeed. I can tell you there are lots of phone calls. And Arun Bhatia, you've been seeing the sentiment on the ground. You must have seen the hassle of, at many points of time, of taking on the political class. Do you feel more and more direct questions need to be asked now? Do you think we can make this viral? Do you think it's possible to make a viral campaign to support government officers who are trying to, protect the Constitution?
Yes, that's such a good question, and that is exactly the difference between the present situation and what obtained, say, 10, 12 years ago. Here now, you blow the whistle and you come to protection to the media, but I must specify the electronic media, not the print media, which is still 72% controlled by politicians and political families. This is how you protect yourself. When young IAS officers say, how are we to survive in this environment? The answer we can give is, all right, blow the whistle, do your job, and then run to the media, which at one time was an offense. We used to get show cause notices, why have you run to the press? So I just wanted to mention one thing that, I would like to underline that we have said very often that the IAS officer was fighting the mafia, which is very true. But actually, the IAS officer is doing more than that. She is fighting those who nourish the mafia, who maintain the mafia, who need the mafia, the real crooks. That is the political parties and the bureaucrats who signed this order. She's fighting against them, so she has nowhere to go because the system will not protect her. There is no steel frame left. There's no difference between the political and the bureaucratic executive, which was envisaged in the constitution. But today it's one. Transfers, postings, departmental inquiries, performance reports, everything is controlled by the signature of the department minister and by the chief minister.
Absolutely.
Since it's difficult to oust these two Johnnies, let's go against the chief
absolutely.
secretary.
I think a lawyer like KTS Tulsi, and I had KTS Tulsi and Ashok Khemka on a debate once. And they were on other sides. And you know what, Mr. Tulsi, many people were asking me one question. Can I be honest with you and I'll tell you what I was being told that point of time? Can I candidly tell you? They said a lawyer of KTS Tulsi's eminence should be there to protect officers who are taking on the system. So my question is, KTS Tulsi, I know you fought with Ashok Khemka, that was a different fight, right? But on this case, will a person like KTS Tulsi come out and offer his services? Or go ahead and file a petition on his own so that the wheels of justice start moving in this country even if the central government is blind to it?
Yes, I think I would like to do that, but not as a public interest, because the Supreme Court deprecates the practice of lawyers filing public interest petitions. There are some people who do that. I think that it is perhaps not the best thing to do. If anyone approaches me, I'm available and I will fight tooth and nail with those who have signed this order of suspension completely against the law, only at the behest of officers. They say that Chief Minister was not even aware of this order of suspension. The order of suspension was ordered by the father of the Chief Minister. Is that a rule of law?
It's ridiculous.
That is what is being alleged. But
one more caller,
sir. Must be ascertained, and this officer must be protected.
One more caller, and that's Hari from Muscat, who's watching Newshour in Muscat. Yes, Hari.
Yeah, Arnab, I have 2 points here. The first point is that politicians, they should not behave as if they are owning the state or owning the country.
I agree with you.
They are just public servants, number one. Number two, the chief secretaries and the higher level bureaucrats, they should first realize their duties. When young officers, they are N2 and they are working with N2 and righteousness, these senior officers, I will hold senior officers more responsible rather than the politicians. Because
I agree.
They are bending down and they are showing the way for these politicians.
Yeah, right.
Hari,
quite right.
Hari, I completely agree with you. It's a good and strong point you made. Good and strong point you made. I think everyone agrees with you there. Ashok also, I'm sure you do. Ashok and Anupam, what do you think in Chandigarh with what Hari is saying in Muscat?
Yes, I absolutely agree with him. You see, in this case, had the Chief Secretary and the Principal Secretary appointments not complied with the order at the middle of the night without giving an opportunity of hearing to this young lady officer, this lady would not have got this traumatic order of suspension from service so young in her career and for doing such a bold and being effectively honest in her job.
Yeah.
So they are the ones who are to be pulled up and they should be apologizing
protected
before the nation.
Absolutely.
Not so much the politicians as the young, as the senior bureaucrats.
Yeah, and you know one thing I want to say this to you, Vani especially. Vani, are you there? Okay, Vani is not there. But you know, somebody asked this, that let's not politicize this. You know, Sudhindra Bhadoria, this country has seen every political party, Mr. Bhadoria, gang up against honest IAS officers. I don't have to remind the BJP where Satyendra Dubey happened, where the Shanmugan Manjunath case happened. And every political party, including yours, Sudhindra Bhadoria, including yours, has victimized, officers. But now, Mr. Bhadoria, these officers are not alone. They have the whole country with them.
You see, including everybody in our national life. You see, you cannot say that there is only one class which is corrupt. One army general is accusing the other army officer. One police officer is accusing the other officer. One journalist, the Neera Radia case, let those old... Why don't you play the tapes of the Neera Radia case?
One sec.
The nation will know who are corrupt and who are honest.
One sec. You know, I'm tired of saying this. I'm going to tell you something tonight. If your last defense is Neera Radia,
you are
no, 1 minute, please. 1 minute.
You are telling
1 minute. What I said was that every political party has victimized IAS officers. And if your only argument is Neera Dadia, then I'd request you, Mr. Bhadoria,
No,
you go ask the people, who are named in the Neera Dadia case. Don't ask me that question. Right? Nobody from Times Now.
I know.
So please, be clear. You ask the people who are there and who you want to ask questions on the Neera Dadia case. You use that line of defense with other people, please.
You should
other people will be on the defensive when you talk about Neera Dadia, not me. Other people will be on the defensive when you ask about Neera Dadia, not me. So don't try that argument with me.
No.
Don't try that argument. Answer the question.
No.
I'm asking you a question.
Saying this to me.
I'm telling you, because every political party has victimized IAS officers. Arun Bhatia wants to respond. Arun Bhatia, please. Arun Bhatia wanted to say something. I wanted to close the debate, but go ahead. I think this lady officer deserves the President's Medal, some of our viewers are writing. Yes, Arun Bhatia.
You are so right, and I'm really surprised that this is being disputed. Of course, every political party uses the same methodologies, the same channels of corruption, suppression of good bureaucrats, corrupt elections, no difference. And I can give you examples of BJP Shiv Sena rule where good officers were suspended. Every time a government changes, every time another political party comes in power, all over the press we hear of a wave of transfers. The bureaucracy is the chamcha of the politicians. There's no doubt about this. How can this guy get up and say, this party is corrupt and this is not? What bullshit.
Well, I think...
The Whistleblowers Protection Act is required and no party has been able to pass the Whistleblowers Protection Act till now.
Okay, one more caller. I think we are getting a lot of calls from Muscat this evening. And I'm extending this program because it is part of our duty to support Durga Shakti. And a lot of our viewers are saying today, let the country go viral in support for Durga Shakti. I think everyone would endorse that. Mr. Subramaniam from Muscat, go on. You're our last caller on the Newshour tonight. Yes, Mr. Subramaniam. And to our viewers who are not getting through, I personally apologize. But we have limited people, limited time. Mr. Subramaniam, go ahead.
Hi, Arnab. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I've been watching this debate, and there are two sides of the bureaucracy. Unless we clean up the bureaucracy who is supporting the politicians, this kind of things will definitely remain there in the system.
Absolutely, sir.
We need to clean up the bureaucracy who are supporting the politicians without looking at their own job responsibilities.
I agree with you, sir. Sometimes we need to look beyond ourselves. I want to thank everyone. This is not personal. बुक्कल नवाब जी बुरा मत मानिए, सीधे सवाल है, सीधे किए जाते हैं क्योंकि ताकि जवाब भी सीधा मिले. और सिर्फ एक बात आपसे कहना चाहूँगा कि दुर्गा शक्ति अकेली नहीं है, सारा देश उनके साथ है. It appears the whole country has gone viral in support of Durga Shakti. So you can tweet, you can write about Durga Shakti, you can build pressure. Because before the state government makes an example of Durga Shakti, you should make an example of people who are trying to make an example of Durga Shakti. Thank you for joining me on that debate on the Newshour tonight.